of sleep a night to be prepared for a day of learning. As we head into the new school year, Amanda Jewson, infant and child sleep expert, brings us advice on how to snooze for success. So we welcome Amanda. Good morning.
Good morning.
So give us an idea of the number of hours a night that school-aged children actually need.
You know, my clients are always surprised. We are going back to school and we're essentially sending kids to a 9-to-5 schedule. So as adults, we assume, okay, our children need the same amount of sleep that we do, but they actually need significantly more. We have children who are starting school for the very first time, or our little kindergartners. They can need upwards of 13 hours of sleep. And in fact, in those early days of school, they might need a tiny bit more because it's the first time some of them have stopped napping. So anywhere from 9 to 13 hours for 4 to 10-year-olds. For our 10-plus kiddos, again, 9 to 11 hours of sleep. This is often surprising for parents. And again, these are individual needs. So I use these numbers. I don't want to panic anyone. You know, don't throw your kid in bed for, 15 hours. You want to watch your child and make sure that they are not too sleepy or not too wired, waking up too early. These are ranges. But for our 10-plus kids, these are the first time some of them are going to come home with devices from schools like tablets or computers, laptops. Make sure those screens are out of the room to make sure they can fall asleep and stay asleep easy.
Yes, let's talk about screen time because it does impact a good night's sleep. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, screens do impact our sleep because all screens, your phones, your TVs, your screen, I keep saying screen, but I mean your monitors for your computers, they have blue light, and blue light tells the brain that, hey, I replicate the sun is up, it's not time to go to sleep. And so your body says, okay, let's hold off on producing that sleepy hormone melatonin. It makes it harder to fall asleep, and it makes it hard to sustain a deep night of rest as well.
Yeah, so, okay, advice on how parents can sort of, eliminate the screens and help the sleep, I guess, cutting them out before bed.
Totally. You want to have screen-free time at least 1 hour before bed. And children will often say, I really want my computer in my room. I want to work on that project. Get those screens out of the room. We want phones, laptops, tablets out of the room, on a community shelf or counter where all the parents can see what's happening. And that just, screens are incredibly seductive to adults. Having them in the rooms of children make it really hard for those kids to do the right thing.
All right. Now, speaking of light, it is still bright outside when kids are trying to go to bed this time of year. It's going to be the case in September. How do you kind of transition from those summertime sleep patterns to the new school year patterns?
Totally. Well, I'm glad that you're having me on now because my advice is always slowly.
Okay.
Humans hate going to bed earlier than what their body is used to.
Yeah.
So, my family, even my family, we're all keeping later bedtimes, and it's been easy to because the sun is up. So I can't just suddenly go from 11, 12 bedtime to 10. Your body's not ready. Your whole systems aren't ready, so you have to do it really slowly. 15 minutes every 2 to 3 nights is going to get you to where you want to go. So if I've been going to bed at midnight for, let's say, the past summer months, I'm going to want to try 11:45 for 2 to 3 days, then 11:30 for 2 to 3 days until I'm at my desired bedtime. You're also going to want to simultaneously wake yourself up in the morning so the sleep pressure is there. So if you are waking up at, let's say, 9 or 10 in the morning and trying to go to bed at 9 or 10 at night, it's just not going to happen.
For sure. All right, teenagers. You mentioned little kids, but what about teenagers? How much sleep do they actually need?
Teenagers need a lot of sleep, anywhere from 9+ hours of sleep. But what can be really tricky and tough on teenagers is that, again, we live in this 9-to-5 world. So kids, teenagers, I want to say 13+, their entire circadian rhythm is changing and different. That means they don't produce melatonin or feel tired until later into the evening, and they want to sleep in. So to get that 9 hours of sleep, if your child's going to bed at around midnight, midnight or 1 can be challenging. I say, wake them up the latest possible time that you can, and they're probably going to be in a little bit of a sleep deficit. So let the sleep in happen on the weekend up to 1 or 2 hours extra sleep so they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on Monday morning.
There's just one more thing I wanted to mention with this study, because I read it before this interview, and the hours of sleep that you mentioned, like the 10 hours for the little ones going into kindergarten, they're supposed to be all at night in a row. That doesn't include naps, and that can be challenging for parents.
Absolutely. And this is essentially what I do in my practice is I help parents develop sleep behaviors. Sleep is a behavior. So when we think about sleep, we're not talking about disjointed sleep, an hour here, a pop out to see how mom and dad are doing, and then back to bed. We're talking about consecutive connected sleep cycles in a row. So if you are not having those hours of sleep, it's probably time to have a chat with your doctor or call an expert like us.
All right, Amanda, thank you so much for this.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That's sleep expert Amanda Jewson. CTV Morning Live will be right back after this break.